Hey everyone, I'm Mr. Willis, and welcome back to You Will Love AP Gov. Thanks for joining me for another video on one of the required Supreme Court cases for AP U.S. government. Today we're diving into Baker v. Carr, a landmark Supreme Court case that established the principle of one person, one vote, and dramatically changed how legislative districts are drawn. If you're taking notes for your AP class or prepping for the AP exam, remember to click on the link below and download the free guided notebook page to make it easier to follow along. Let's break it down. In the mid-20th century, many states, including Tennessee, had not updated their legislative district boundaries for decades. The last reapportionment in Tennessee had taken place in 1901, despite massive population shifts over the following half-century. Urban populations, especially in cities like Memphis and Nashville, had grown rapidly, while many rural areas had experienced population decline. Yet rural districts retained the same amount of political power they had had when the population was much more evenly distributed. This meant that a rural voter's influence could be many times greater than that of an urban voter, creating a severe imbalance in political representation. Charles Baker, a resident of urban Shelby County, filed a lawsuit against Tennessee Secretary of State Joe Carr, claiming that the state's failure to reapportion its legislative districts diluted the voting power of citizens in densely populated areas. Baker argued that this violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment by denying urban voters equal legislative representation. His case challenged the state's systemic neglect of redistricting, which disproportionately disadvantaged city dwellers and undermined the principle of political equality. Ultimately, the case was heard by the Supreme Court. The legal question before the court was, does the judiciary have the authority to rule on the constitutionality of state legislative districting, or is this a political question best left to the legislative branch? In a 6-2 decision, the Supreme Court held that claims of legislative malapportionment were justiciable. This means that if a voter sued their state because they felt the state's legislative districts needed to be redrawn, the case could indeed be reviewed and decided by the courts. This was a major departure from prior precedent, which viewed redistricting as a political question beyond judicial reach. The court did not decide whether Tennessee's districts were unconstitutional in this specific case, but it opened the door for future challenges. Justice William Brenner wrote the majority opinion, arguing that the Equal Protection Clause provides a constitutional basis for individuals to challenge districting practices that result in unequal representation. Brennan emphasized that the right to vote is a fundamental political right, and that denying equal weight to votes violates principles of representative democracy. Baker v. Carr remains a cornerstone of election law and continues to influence debates over redistricting, gerrymandering, and voting rights. It reaffirmed the judiciary's role in safeguarding democratic principles and ensuring that every citizen's vote carries equal weight. By making malapportionment a justiciable issue, the Supreme Court empowered citizens to challenge unfair systems and strengthened the constitutional commitment to equal protection under the law. Baker v. Carr also laid the groundwork for a series of important decisions, including Reynolds v. Sims, which required state legislative districts to be roughly equal in population. These cases collectively established the doctrine of one person, one vote, and significantly improved fairness in electoral representation across the United States. And that's everything you need to know about Baker v. Carr. You can click here for additional videos for AP U.S. government, and be sure to check out my videos on AP macroeconomics and AP microeconomics as well. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content on AP government and economics. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on You Will Love AP Gov.